Been here all 3 days. Okay, everybody, all right. Been here all 3 days. Okay, everybody, all right. Well, thanks again so much for coming. We are going to be hosting the conference next year, November 6th through the 8th. So basically the same weekend next year. So hopefully you'll plan for that. If you're interested in being a speaker or teaching a class, we usually put applications out at portgamble.com on the Ghost Conference page on May 1st. So I try and make that date every year. Applications, and then we try and get to them as quick as we can. So plan on that for next year, November 6th through 8th. When William's done, I'll give a lot of conference shout outs because there's so many people to thank. The volunteers, our speakers, classes, all the teams that help us out, our vendors, our staff here. My wife will give her a shout out. She does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Anyways, I'm excited to have William come up here for our final speaking presentation. And I don't have a bio on hand for William, but I'm just going to speak from the heart on this one. William Becker's a lifelong psychic medium. He does life coaching, he does psychic development, he's a mentor. He was my mentor through my psychic journey. It's super important to have a mentor you can trust, and William's been that for me all these years and helped me out. He's a degree in history and a passport to prove he's been all over the dang place. He specializes in the history of places and the metaphysics of places. So going to ancient places and seeing the ancient people in that time. He also does past life readings, but he's got so many different services. He does classes and workshops, and you can find it all at paranormalinsights.net. But a good friend of mine, one of the kindest hearts out there in the paranormal community. Let's give a welcome to William Becker.
Okay, I don't know how I'm going to live up to that. It's such a pleasure, and thank you so much. I feel like I'm being blinded by a UFO. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And lately, part of what I've been doing is focusing more on the spiritual, the metaphysical aspects, and bringing that into life. Go ahead and change the slide. Thank you. And hence the name of this presentation. Go ahead and... Oops. There we go. I'd forgotten I had a PowerPoint until just before the Clarkson's presentation, so I apologize for all the confusion I caused. For the purpose of this presentation and the work that I do, I'm using just a narrow form of the term metaphysics. There are all kinds of philosophies and religious aspects, a whole bit that go with it, but we're going to focus basically on the concept that the metaphysical world is that world which is not the material world, and as I call it, the transitory world. Everything in here, in this world, goes away. There's a life cycle. It's created or born, it develops, and then it fades and it dies and something else grows. The metaphysics is changing, but it's always there. And when we can bring that into ourselves, it makes us more complete, more aware of our true self, our true being, and more aware of the world around us, as well as the world beyond us. Go ahead. Okay. One of my closest friends, about a year ago, when he and I were talking, and he's somebody that has been doing mediumship basically ever since he was a toddler and didn't understand it. And he asked me about when things started, and it got me really thinking. And I realized that I was doing a lot more at a very early age than I thought. I basically started my process when I was 8 and saw my first ghost. Well, I realized that the killer clowns and the shapes I would see moving around houses and places I'd lived, and being upstairs in Grandma's house if I was spending the night, and not only seeing the trees move out my bedroom window, but seeing them out the other side of the house, which I couldn't physically, and seeing them on the highway about 5 miles away. And I just put all that together when I was putting this presentation together. And I thought, oh, okay, I was doing a whole lot more a lot younger than I thought. And it just wrote it off as imagination, dreams, or whatever. Well, it wasn't imagination. I'd see white, human-shaped figures in the trees behind our house during the day, go dart from tree to tree. And I was in grade school by those days. But there was always something. Go ahead. Okay, what's my story got to do with the topic? It's about the spiritual development and process and growth and merging that into the whole. I'm an easy example. I don't need to get written permission from anybody to talk about myself. Go ahead. Okay, why does it matter? We bring part of our soul, our spirit, our true being into our physical body when we're incarnated. And we have a choice. It's part of our soul's journey and learning and healing in this life and the lessons we're here to learn. And part of that is how much of our true essence we bring down with us. And if you don't bring enough, it can be pretty taxing and pretty draining, and there can be all kinds of issues that make life a little more challenging, because we have guides that try to tell us and inform us and give us suggestions before we come down, but the decisions are ours. We make the choice as to what we're learning and what situation we're born into that creates the whole series of our life events. And then we respond to those. And I think how we end this existence and when is one of those decisions. And that includes every way we end. So really, it's not somebody before their time or somebody tragically taking their own. And yes, it comes across that way. And we feel that, and those emotions are important and for everybody. But the people affected make the choices as well coming down. So it's all part of a unified whole. It's a huge, gigantic jigsaw puzzle and weaving project. And there is a pattern for it, but not here, you know. When we're integrating our full being, which is in a different realm, we start understanding and connecting to our fuller essence. And it gives us a more complete awareness of ourselves, our purpose, our ability to work with our life, our soul lessons. It opens sources of more wisdom and energy Energy is a key component, remember that? Ability to work with and detach from the emotional, mental, intellectual triggers. Healing on a soul level that we can also bring into a physical level. And we connect to the universal energy. And we can use that energy when we're working with ourselves and other people. The work I do used to really drain me over time. It doesn't anymore. I get tired, but I don't get that drain because I've reached a point where I just automatically connect to that universal stream of energy, and that helps power and fuel me, and I can send that out to people and with what I'm doing. So I'm not depleting myself. I'm channeling an energy source that keeps me going and gives what I need to be given to other people. Go ahead. Our soul's journey is to learn and experience to become its full, complete, unique being, the telos. And that's our inherent purpose. Aristotle, I used to think it was Plato, it was close. Aristotle was a student of Plato, so, okay, I've skipped a generation. But he's the one that came up with this idea that each acorn grows into its own unique, individual oak tree. And no two are alike. And we are that as well, both in this material world and into the metaphysical world and our soul's growth and change. So as we grow into that being here while we're alive in our material body, our soul is also learning the lessons it needs to be able to do that as well. The end game is we become our complete, unique being, different from but connected to all other living things, both in the spirit, metaphysical element and in the physical element. Now here we don't reach that perfection, but it's part of the journey of the soul to do that. Go ahead. We can explore our thoughts, our emotions, our triggers, our dreams, more with the sense of detachment from the emotional responses that arise. That gives us the ability to respond more thoughtfully and not emotionally. And it works with our psychology, or works with psychology, to recognize what is triggered to cause the anger and heal, or love and joy, or whatever, but to find solutions and to find a way of integrating the positive as well into ourselves. And it's all part of the inner growth. Next, please. Whoops. We can detach from that which is transitory and not let that which is fleeting control us. Things like wealth or poverty, possessions, the material aspects of life, relationships, societal norms and expectations. We get to a point where we don't care. We are our true self, and it doesn't matter what society or others think, as long as we're being authentic. And in my opinion, and experience, authentic is probably not being a jerk. I was thinking of a different word because sometimes people would think of what we're doing as being a jerk, and it isn't, it's real. It's a form of, it's part of kindness, which is not being nice all the time. It's being kind in delivery of truth and honesty and being grounded in reality, and it's a complicated package. Be another conversation. But even things like looks, which change over the lifetime, health, everybody's going to have ups and downs with health, or your family or friends are, and even longevity. Okay, some people want to live forever. Well, guess what, folks? It isn't going to happen in a physical plane. Go ahead, next. And the metaphysical aspect doesn't replace psychology and therapy. Okay, disclaimer, gave you my bachelor's, my master's is public administration. I am not a psychologist or a doctor or a mental health or a physical health professional. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have any training in these things. I'm not qualified to diagnose or do anything. I'm speaking from my own experiences, and frankly, more years of therapy than I can count. I've never met anybody in my life who couldn't benefit from therapy, if you have the good therapist who's a good fit. But you can integrate these things, they work well together, because this reality and our own emotions and our thoughts are every bit as valid and as important as the metaphysical piece. But the metaphysical can help heal the wounds of the physical. And one of the things I find so often, if I let it happen and love myself, is I can glide over the top of the ruin of whatever, ruin inside myself, ruin of society, ruin of culture, anything. And it's kind of like sitting on a magic carpet, only it released, for me, it's just a hard, invisible platform that's just smoothly floats over the top of it all. On a good day. Ask any of my friends here and they'll say I don't always fit that. But most people don't. It's a process. And we have to change habits. And to let the combination of the metaphysical and spiritual become the new habit that happens automatically. So we don't even have to think about it. And after 68 years, 69 next month, I'm sort of getting a little better at it. It helps keep us grounded and centered. That's so important, even in responding to the boss who's being more than a jerk, just grab a person in traffic, or anything else where we can detach and say, okay, everybody's fine, let's not overreact, let's respond appropriately. And if somebody's just cut you off in traffic, probably the appropriate thing is to ignore it. I think it's also important to work with a talented medium who's also a good fit. You can have somebody who's a good medium, a good teacher, that isn't a good fit for you personally. It can happen, and just like a therapist, just like a doctor, just like a lawyer. I mean, anybody who's providing a professional service that way. And they should be somebody who has the experience of working with past and between lives, and who is also adept at assisting and connecting you with your spiritual being. That's so helpful to give you the rounded picture. Go ahead. Next slide. Okay, I guess like this and next. There we go. This can help us with emotional feelings of rejection or lack of value, the appreciation. And the psychology is vital to the understanding and embrace and heal, and to not let the tapes of the past affect how we respond now. Most of my experience and what I hear from professionals is that those tapes don't go away. The traumas don't go away. Their hold and effect on us can be mitigated and even get to a point where they no longer affect us. But they're teaching us something along the way. And those lessons they're giving us are very important. And part of that is how we detach from them and don't let them rule our lives anymore. Some of that is realizing, oh yeah, that worked when I was 5. It doesn't work at 55. Let's try something new. Connecting to our fuller self gives the soul a cell-level understanding. It helps us float above, like I was saying, and detach from the emotional response and reaction. We can acknowledge what's there and how it makes us feel, but we can detach from an emotional response that is not conductive to a healthy response for us and for other people. And it doesn't nullify emotions, it helps recognize them, but not to be ruled by them. It assists in appropriate responses and healing, and it helps to better understand ourselves more fully. Go ahead. This is a life-long journey. It's an essential aspect of an introspective and a self-aware existence. And it's a combination of critical thinking, self-examination with a good and good fit therapist, and connecting with our spiritual being. They're so important such important aspects for our growth, our journey, and understanding in this life. They work together to give us the tools to live more fully, completely, and to manifest a joy in our being. Go ahead. Grounding ourselves in our complete being assists us in healing and releasing the toxic hold of the transitory world. Now that doesn't mean everything in the world is bad. It isn't. And we're here to enjoy the fruits of our labors and the fruits of what is here to be offered. But it also helps us to detach and not be ruled by those either, so that manna does not become the golden idol. We get rid of the golden idol altogether, and the goal and the God is us. Working with our complete being assists us in understanding our purpose and more of who we are, allowing us to find our joy, our authentic self, our meaning in this life. And it's so true. When I start working and focusing more and allowing this in, my joy is there, and joy is different from happiness. Happiness is a great thing, but that's a transitory thing too. Joy often is because we let that go out. But that's something that can be with us even when things around us is what we're going through is really trying. And that's part of what creates the light and glow within us that can be a light and seen by others, for whatever purpose we are. This whole process also helps us to understand our own purpose in this reality at this time, and it allows us to find our joy. Well, I just said the joy in authentic self, but in our meaning in life. And it allows us to live more authentically instead of as others would have us be. Go ahead. I know it sounds like a complicated process, and I'm finding, well, it is kind of complicated, but it really isn't. It's also very simple. But it takes time and practice and study. This is not surface level spirituality, and I'm not criticizing any practice about anything. But this is going into the depths of our own existence and being. I always experience and see like another dimension here, and that's where I go. And when I'm there, I'm connected. When I'm not there, not so much. Various degrees, but not nearly as much. And so it leads us to a fuller, happier existence. I just said happy is not joy, and that's true. But I feel like there's more meaning and value to living into my life when I'm more fully aware of all of this and all of who I am. And some of that is having people that are like-minded that you can share and talk to and explore and help each other with. It doesn't have to be many. You won't have many. The more you get into this, frankly, the harder it can be for a lot of people to understand you. And that's fine, but you have to be okay with that. You know, a lot of people say the further you get along to your own authentic self, the lonelier it can be. And that's not good or bad, it just is. And that changes. It depends on the environment and what you're doing that puts you in the middle of like-minded people. Part of what I love about this conference is there's a different kind of connection with people here than there is most places, because everybody's seriously on a journey of exploration and learning and understanding themselves and more of what's out there. It's not shits and giggles about a ghost experience. There's something deeper that most people here are looking for or experiences. And it's my feeling and experience here. And the town itself does that, just driving in on a nice day, or a stormy one, it is Port Campbell. Are there any questions? Because we've got some time. We've got quite a bit of time. Yeah?
What about the theory about the human body just being antenna picking up signals from, say, like the Akashic field, and that's like the explanation of dual personalities, as it's stuck between stations on a radio, kind of?
Oh, so, yeah, you know, Jane Roberts talked about some of this in the Oversoul 7 books, which I read before most of the people in this room were alive, so so my memory is a little fuzzy on this. But her idea was that some of what happened, because we can go in and out of these other realms and places, and absolutely, and that's part of what I teach. But her idea was people who are in a mental health crisis or struggle actually aren't. It's just that they're stuck in a different reality and haven't gotten back. On one hand, that makes sense, like what you're saying does. I haven't ever experienced that from anybody I've talked to on the other side or here. So I'm not going to say it's not a real thing or a real possibility is outside my experience. There's that.
All the way on the wall.
Oh, great, Brian.
I also know that you are a creative. Do you find yourself more or less creative in these states, or do you prefer to create in a state?
More or less creative which?
In a state, or do you prefer to create in a state?
I think it's just naturally more creative in that kind of a space or state. If we're in our authentic self, we're going to create more which is genuine. And it's a lot more fun, but it's also more rewarding, and the end product is more rewarding and of more use for the goal. Great question, thank you. And a nice compliment, thank you. Who else?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you, when you are tapped in, do you have do you feel physically different
When I'm in...
when you're tapped into spirit?
Physically, no. Emotionally, or... that word is too overused. In an inner sense, I can, if I pay attention to it. But I also do this, you get to a point where it's automatic enough a lot of times that you just don't notice.
Right.
But when you're sitting down and doing this consciously, it can be. And well, when I'm teaching people about grounding and centering, I tell them part of what I get is this sense of, and I'll actually often sigh out loud that way. And when we can ground and center into our true soul, our first self, it's like the biggest, warmest, most loving grandmothers wrapping you in handmade magic quilts and blankets and giving you hot chocolate that is beyond anything you've ever tasted. But physically, I don't know. That's my experience. Other people might have a different one. And when you're new at this process, you're going to probably see or experience those differences more than somebody who's been adept at it or working on it. I won't say adept because that implies too much of a expert. And when we're talking about this kind of thing, there is not an expert. There are people who are more experienced and going further on their own journey than others. But that doesn't mean expert. There is no PhD that you can test and prove that you've arrived at nirvana. Who else? Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit more when you were talking about tapping into collective energy so you don't get drained?
Okay, and it's a universal energy, a cosmic energy. And so what we're doing is allowing that energy to, my experience, it usually comes in from the top of the crown chakra. And then it can come out third eye, it can come out heart chakra, it can come out solar plexus, it can come out anywhere. It doesn't have to come out of a chakra, but it helps even just allow the energy within us to go out. Our aura can expand, the colors can change. If you haven't gotten an aura photograph up there with Dee Dee, do it and watch as you focus on different things and change how the different levels keep changing. It's really fascinating. And she understands and puts it all together for you, so do it. And she lives local, so you probably do it even out of the conference. I'm not sure. You can check with her. Does that give more information, or have I not answered the question, or have I made it clear as mud?
Well, I think it's, for me, it's a better explanation than what I was thinking.
Okay. So, I helped a little bit with it, but not giving you everything. A lot of this has to do with your own self and how you experience. But a lot of what this is, there's no magic trick. You allow it to come through. And a lot of that is done through meditation. Okay? I'm going to preach about meditation. And this is the case of do as I say, not as I do. Because I used to meditate for an hour in the morning, have breakfast, get cleaned up, go to the gym, do it, get cleaned up again, and be at the office at 8 or 9 or whatever god awful time I had to be there. And then sit for again an hour in the evening. I don't do that anymore. I'm distracted and lazier. I actually have more time to do it and I don't. But I'm working on getting the habit of at least half hour a day or something in. And do your meditation. Now, meditation doesn't mean your brain or your mind is clear. And there are all kinds of different types. In fact, a lot of times you can use a question or an issue or what you're trying to achieve as a focal point instead of breath or something like that. And the idea is when you're getting monkey mind, as it's called, and people with the neurodiverse type of brains I have, a monkey mind is a hard thing to get rid of. The thing is, you don't follow all of the rabbit holes. You recognize them and you let them go. And that doesn't mean a new one doesn't pop in right away, but you let it go. And that helps us to work with clarity and be calmer and more focused. And so that practice then can allow us to get out of our way to let the esoteric energy through and go out where it needs to go. Because our instincts, our soul knows better than our rational mind in these senses. So, do you have a follow-up question after that?
No, that's very helpful, thank you.
Okay, great, you're welcome, thank you. Anybody else? We've got about 10 more minutes. Pardon?
Okay. William says he can't hear me. We're going to do the grounding session for everybody since we've got a few minutes left. And so if you are willing to stay seated, get relaxed, and I'm going to call mediums to come up here and join William. And we'll just stand on stage and I'll let you kind of guide a grounding session for everybody so that when we all leave today, we leave grounded and refreshed. And but before you leave, at 3 o'clock at the end here, those that want to, I'm going to take people around the town. We'll walk up to the cemetery, kind of come down and walk around the main street here, and I'll share some stories and some history and stuff. So that'll be a little farewell ghost walk tour. So if you want to do that, we'll meet outside a little after 3. But Kelly, Skeeter, Joanne's doing a reading. Who else is in here? Let's see. Come on up to the stage. Let's see. Sonia. Come on up on stage. And William, if you wouldn't mind leading a grounding session.
You would think from the way my ears work that I've spent my life in rock concerts. I haven't. But I'm not quite to the hearing aid stage, but I think I'm getting close. One of my friends says I'm passed out. Okay. Now what I do when I'm teaching this, a lot of the textbooks have a particular formula, and that's what I'll present. But everybody has their own instruction manual. There is no one size fits all. So you can follow and do what I'm saying, or if something clicks inside of you that says, no, this is what I need to do that. Because that's probably your instruction manual through your instinct saying, hey, I've got your answer right here. So follow that. And again, the idea is not physical action, but it's the visualization and what that creates. And part of what I teach people too is this is something that eventually you want to be able to do in a snap with your eyes wide open while you're driving and that person cuts you off, or when you're ready to throw something at your boss or your coworker or your spouse or your kid or your parent. It's a good way to get back into yourself and calm. And so what the books tell us to do, and I'll join back here with everybody, is they say to stand up. I'm not asking you to. Have your feet flat on the ground and imagine them as tree roots growing deep, deep into the ground. Your body is the trunk of a tree. Mighty oak is a good example. Your arms are branches and your fingers are the leaves. All the negative is going down through your legs, down through your feet, at the roots, deep within the ground. And those roots are also keeping you grounded, attached to the ground, so you're not floating off like a weather balloon. The sunlight is hitting your fingers, your leaves, and all that is positive, the nutrient, the healing, that which feeds us and feeds our soul is absorbed and comes into us, down the arms, our branches, and into our trunk. And the two circulate up and down, positive in, negative out, and then form with what I see like a yin and yang symbol, where there's the balance of both the light, the dark, the positive, the negative, the male, the female, the balance of all. And you let that resonate and see how that makes you feel and connect. And when you're done, you slowly open your eyes and you come back to this existence. And notice how you feel when you come back. We have time for one or two quick comments about what people felt or how it worked. Yeah, go ahead.
Colors are brighter.
You what?
Colors are brighter.
Okay. One more?
We put it
You
right
You put them so far in the ground.
Relaxing, very relaxing.
Very relaxing. Okay, good, thank you. Everybody, I can't thank you enough. And Pete, your incredible stuff. And thank you all for joining up here. One quick housekeeping thing. Any of you that have seen my business cards, he made them? He designed them? You guys still have a business doing some of this, and he makes great work. So I suggest talking to him about them. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us up here.